All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Men Talking Mindfulness. We are entering, and thank you for being part of this program, this show, part of our community. We are going into season 9 of Men Talking Mindfulness. I'm going a little solo here. We'll be back next week for John and I, our first tandem episode of Men Talking Mindfulness. Today, we're going to talk about the creating the flywheel effect. And what it's all about, how it's going to help you. And really, it's about accessing and just creating wins throughout the day, incremental wins, so you can keep moving forward with the momentum. You can keep moving forward with a positive mindset. You can keep moving forward with a sense of inspiration and invigoration. You can move forward with a sense and through that sense of purpose. So buckle up. I'm not going to keep this isn't going to be too long, but it's going to be profound, and it's going to be helpful to anybody that's struggling with like, hey, what's next, or how do I gain momentum, and kind of access all the things I mentioned earlier. So thanks for being part of Men Talking Mindfulness. If you want to join and get a little bit deeper into everything Men Talking Mindfulness, please send us a text to MTM to 33777. So simply just get on your phone, type in the number, what number it is 33777, and just text in the message line MTM, and you'll get weekly updates about what's going on, and with Men Talking Mindfulness episodes and courses and stuff like that. Or even take a deeper dive, you can go to mentalkingmindfulness.com. So again, hey, thank you everybody for being here, and let's just jump right in. So creating the flywheel effect. I was originally going to call this, stacking wins, and this really is just a win stacker for momentum. But what's really critical as I kept doing more of this research is, and I like the whole idea of a flywheel effect. So, flywheel. So eventually you get enough momentum. You do enough small, incremental, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually, little tasks every day. Maybe a few every single day, and all of a sudden you get this momentum, and I love that whole idea of a flywheel. They even had, I know they have them in New York City, the flywheel, biking gym, so it really, momentum, and this is not just what helps us when we actually physically finish a task, right? There's a lot going on in the mental and emotional realm as well. But on both sides, I mean, if, sometimes it's difficult to grapple with failure, and, and there's a lot of patience involved when you're really trying to do something that is deep and meaningful to you, and requires a lot of time and patience and effort and self-reflection. So we're going to, work with that. And this could be not just for business, and whatever kind of business pursuits or financial pursuits you're going after, but this could be conquering something in the physical realm, like if you want to hike a mountain or run a marathon or just get stronger in some ways, or even like lose weight, or it could be a way to begin to develop a new skill. So the flywheel effect, I mean, this concept was introduced by Jim Collins in his book Good to Great. And, it describes small, consistent actions that can build momentum and lead to significant growth and improvement over time. Again, this concept applies to personal development and change by focusing on incremental progress, and it builds resilience and helps to maintain momentum. So there is actually 5 key components to this. I'm going to talk to each one individually, or just mention them right now, and then kind of break one each down individually. So incremental progress is number 1. Building resilience is number 2. Number 3 is maintaining momentum. Number 4 is creating your personal formula, your personal flywheel. And last is reflecting and adjusting as you continually move through this progress. So let's go back to incremental progress. So this is really just breaking down your larger goal into smaller ones. So, taking that 1 year, like I want to complete this by the end of the year. And I would just really use this to not to do a whole bunch of things, or you can break down each thing individually, but don't overwhelm yourself because you're really not going to accomplish anything. So I would take the one that is really going to shift the needle, not just on the inside for yourself, because it's going to be a big mental, physical, and emotional shift for you. And then it helps to create, that external, rewards and reaping the benefits in the outer world. But it really starts as an inside job here. I mean, I think that's one thing as you continually listen to Men Talking Mindfulness, is all an inside job. To really start cleaning up and creating discipline and understanding what it takes to have a healthy mind and a healthy body and a healthy outlook on life. That's all the inner game. Then the external game really starts to take care of itself pretty incredibly, because, if we can deal with a bunch of the shit in our head and a bunch of the negative programming that we've been exposed to, then we can really conquer anything. So incremental progress. Where I like to start with this is really start with the why. Why do you want to do this? And I would take this why, it would really make a strong, profound why. Is it something that is heart-centric, something that comes from your heart, not just to improve yourself, but I would even create it, if it's possible, to connect it to something greater than yourself. There's something about connecting to common humanity and trying to serve and the needs or the struggles within our common humanity with your gifts, with your creativity, with your talent, and with this pursuit that will have you coming back more and more, especially when times are really difficult or you don't feel like you're making any progress at all. So what's the incremental progress is going to help us, to also make consistent progress as well. And that why is really going to be helpful. I suggest, write that why down, put it at your desk, read it every day, modify it if you need to, if it's not really sitting with you deep in your heart and in your gut. So how do you really make these incremental progress? It's reverse engineer. If you have a goal of, I always come back to running because it's just kind of simple, because it's very, mathematical, and you can stretch it over time. If you want to run a marathon a year from now, and you would like to do it in under a certain amount of time, like maybe under 4 hours or 5 hours, it's really going to take a lot of work. But there's no shortage of, marathon formulas out there over the year. And if you look at that, it's going to be, you start slow. You start small within that first quarter. I really like to also break things down instead of this big, long, 1 year journey. What if you break it down into quarters, every 90 days, right? Or every, the first 3 months I'm doing this, and then we're breaking that first month into the first 4 weeks, right? And then each week we're doing this one thing, and every day I'm doing something. So really reverse engineering your goal into the smallest task possible to get this momentum. Again, it's incremental progress, and breaking things down into manageable daily tasks that don't overburden you, but definitely challenge you. Maybe it challenges your time, so you need to be a little bit more cognizant of how you're using your time. And also, it's going to be challenging you physically and emotionally or technically as well. So, anytime that you're challenging yourself, you have an opportunity to change. If nothing happens till something moves, says Albert Einstein. So we need to start moving things around every day in order to get to this one task, and making the time for it and putting your best foot forward when you're doing this. I suggest one thing that I like to do for this incremental progress, but attached to the why and attached to that larger goal, is I like to time block. I block things out on my calendar, and again, like it's attached to the greater why and the greater goal. But when I time block it and I put it on my calendar, And I time block actually the night before, so this helps me to get a better a higher quality of sleep, because I don't have any kind of residual or deep subconscious stress or anxiety or something like that might be bubbling up into my sleep because I don't know what I'm doing the next day. So I time block the night before. I like to time block in honoring, even going further from incremental, because we got to work with the biology as it is, and we need to work with the focus and the consciousness and also the feebleness of the mind. And the Pomodoro method is one way to break things down into 25-minute chunks, or maybe 35 minutes chunks tops. And after that, remove yourself from the task. Just take like a few minute break, move around a little bit, maybe get some hydration, maybe do a little bit of physical exercise like some squats, or moving your body a little bit to get that energy, up in your body instead of puddling down in your pelvis. So that could be something very helpful as well. That goes along with the time block. 25 minutes, 5 minutes off, 25 minutes on. Or if you can really, because what they've shown, like after like 25, 30 minutes, you really start to lose that focus. You really diminish significantly just because of the way the mind is, your creative juices. So it's tougher to kind of pull things out from, the realm of creativity in order to bring it into the work that you're doing. So time blocks are really great for that. And then I just, I time block out the whole week, and then we'll talk about, time off as well, which is really important. Something that can really help you to stay accountable. Like accountability is really important. And sometimes, and the reason why New Year's resolutions are such a mess for everybody and gone within the first 3 weeks of the new year is because accountability is not there. So maybe you hire a coach, maybe you have a friend of yours hold you accountable, or maybe you, do this thing with a friend. Maybe if someone wants to also run that marathon or whatever you're putting out there in the world, maybe have that person do it with you. Or maybe you're working in tandem, on two different goals, but you're really holding each other accountable to, your weekly, daily, monthly, quarterly tasks that are essential in order to experience the momentum of the flywheel effect. And really, this is really going to help you to get disciplined. And disciplined is where greatness occurs. And if you're not disciplined, you're never going to get to your greatness. You might be good, but you're never really going to be great, because discipline requires a lot of focus. And that focus will create that greatness as well. All right. So, okay, next one here is for the flywheel effect is building resilience. So we're not just physical resilience, but also so important is a mental resilience. And also learning, part of this mental resilience is learning from our setbacks. We get to use our failures as an opportunity to grow and improve, right? And I'm like, I've said it many times in the show, I'm not a big fan of even the word failure. And maybe you can replace the word failure with the word result. This is my result. I tried. This is my result. And when you have a result and you want to rescue it from really being a failure, when you have the result, what do you do with those results? What can you learn from the results? And how can you take that wisdom of the learning from those results, from that failure, and plug it into your next attempt? And this is also going to help you, this building resilience is your relationship to failure. And just because you don't do something great the first time doesn't mean that it isn't achievable. It's okay to fall down a million times. Like what Ben Franklin, he said, someone asked him, it's like, or he's quoted as saying, it took him 10,000 times apparently to make the light bulb. And he goes, but I didn't fail 10,000 times. I learned 10,000 times how not to make a light bulb. And then finally, on that, 10,001 time, the lights went on. And the lights went on for all of us because of his discipline and his willingness to continually dive in and keep showing up. And as Ben Franklin kept showing up, right? He kept developing more of that mental and that resilience, even the physical resilience, of just sitting there and trying again. Because one thing that we're going to really access as we try to do something different and try to achieve greatness is there's a lot of negativity bias that's going to continually wake up. Because if we've just been doing and coasting through life and doing things the same way all the time, and then we try to make a change, and a dramatic change in this case is really required to access more greatness, the negativity bias will be like, what the hell, man? Like, everything has been fine. Why do you got to mess with, the system, the way things always have done, the same shit, different day kind of thing. Our body and our minds can get very comfortable. We hope to have Michael Easter on the show this season to talk about the comfort crisis and the scarcity mindset. And that's what it is. Like, when we get comfortable, we get lazy, and we get lazy, we get ignorant, and we get ignorant. We are ignorant to our potential and who we can be. So how are you staying committed? Is what are things that you're doing? You're telling yourself, like, what is your mantra here in order to pull you through those times that aren't working for you? Also, what are you doing when you don't want to work? You don't want to show up and do that because whatever reason. There's always going to be something that's going to get in the way. But it's that commitment. How are you continuing honoring that commitment, and what are you doing in order to fulfill that commitment? One thing that Mel Robbins talks about, the 5-minute rule, or that you just like start on whatever task that you don't want to do, but you have to because it's connected to, the overall arc of what you're trying to accomplish. Just sit with it for 5 minutes. Just do it for 5 minutes and set a timer, 5 minutes, and sit for those 5 minutes. And after those 5 minutes of you diving in and or digging back in to whatever you're trying to do, all of a sudden, they've shown through the science of this that 80% chance you're going to continue with that, whatever that commitment is and whatever you're doing. So, and there's no shame in not winning. There's no shame in your failures. So, that's going to be a big, thing you might deal with mentally. It's just like, oh, I'm a failure. Oh, I suck. And if you grew up with that kind of mantra that's around you, from bad parenting or bad coaching, it could really be and really destroy you. So how do you counteract that? We'll get into that in a second as well. So here we go. Number 3, it's like maintaining momentum. And one way to do that is to celebrate small victories and use them as a motivation to continue moving forward. Right? This is like, just little things like celebrating, right, is starting to wake up and manipulate and work and use our hormonal biology, right, to keep inspired, right? And really the inspiration is what's going to keep moving forward. And if I, feel like I'm doing better, then I feel like I'm moving forward, then I'm going to keep moving forward. And the opposite is true as well. So your feelings really matter here. So what are the hormones that are going to keep this momentum or keep this kind of winning advantage, keep this flywheel moving forward? So if you take time to reflect and celebrate, you're accessing the serotonin, right? The happy neurotransmitter. So you're just going to feel a sense of happiness. And even as I say that, I'm like, I start smiling, I start feeling better, my energy starts changing, right? Because of just happiness. Dopamine comes online, which we had a whole episode on, I think it was season 7, and it's really about the molecule of more. Right? I want to do more. I want to accomplish more. I want to see what else I can do. I want to learn more. I want to show up another day and just keep going. This is like a positive dopamine effect, but you got to watch also and counteract maybe the dopamine effect of like sliding into your doom scrolling and wasting a whole bunch of time, and feeling like shit because you're consuming content that has no impact on your life and is just kind of in some ridiculous world where everyone's just trying to be like, hey, look at me. Look at how special I am. It could just be so fake on so many realms in social media. So maybe stay out of that as a way to keep this momentum going. Oxytocin is this love and binding molecule. So when you're accomplishing things and You're going to feel more connected to yourself. If you're working towards something for the greater good of other people, you're going to feel that connection to the whole and also something larger than you. Endorphins are going to start kicking up through this flywheel effect as well. And endorphins, it's a great mood booster. It also even blocks pain a little bit, increases your feeling of well-being. This is going to contribute to your success by improving your mood. It's going to help naturally reduce your stress and also boost your self-esteem, boost your confidence. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I'm doing this. Here's some easy ways that, keep those endorphins flowing is, natural sunlight exposure, exercise, even having sex, is good. Dark chocolate or maybe a little cacao, dancing, why not in those little breaks, if you access and work with that Pomodoro method, why not dance to your favorite song for a few minutes and just get out of your way, refresh, reset, and come back, right? And even laughter, I'm a big fan of comedy. Maybe turn on your favorite comedian or maybe, just a little snippet or consume some funny content that really helps you to keep going. And the last one here is anandamide, which really contributes to what anandamide does. It helps you to access a state of bliss. And the way you get into that state of bliss is through a flow state. So when you're really rocking that flywheel, really stacking those wins, really feeling that momentum, you really get into this state of bliss, and you're just in this flow state and just keep moving forward, keep moving forward. One thing that's also going to help to maintain this momentum is honoring your holistic, basic biological needs, and we got to serve the baseline of what our body needs and mind needs in order to stay fresh, stay creative, stay connected to something that matters, and helping to at least have an opportunity to lift ourselves out, or more frequently lift ourselves out of our negativity bias. So what does that look like? Proper sleep, high quality sleep, 7 to 8 hours a night. We've had a couple episodes on proper sleep and high quality sleep, and this proper sleep hygiene, what that looks like. So no alcohol before bed, no heavy meals before bed, no, sugar before bed, no blue light before bed, really trying to get that 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night, because it's going to help when you get into REM sleep. With high quality sleep, it helps to, there's a neural pruning effect, so it clips off all the stress and anxiety of the day. When we're in deep sleep, we're actually physically restoring the body. And when we get that 7 to 8 hours sleep every night, we get these 4 cycles. Each kind of cycle from light sleep to deep sleep to REM sleep lasts about 90 minutes, and if we get to 4 of them every night, 5 of them, we're really setting ourselves up for success the next day. Some more of this biological baseline: eat healthy, real foods. Cut out the processed junk. Cut out, all the sugar. Cut out things that are not serving your body and that are making you feel like shit. Optimal hydration is another one. How are you staying hydrated the rest of throughout the day? Our bodies are 2/3 water, so you better believe hydration is really important, but proper hydration. We have another episode on that with Dr. Dana Cohen about optimal hydration. I'll drop that in the show notes. Moderate daily activity. This could just be a short 20-minute workout, or maybe something longer every other day. Keeping your cardiovascular in check, by really getting your heart pumping and flowing, or even just going out for a walk, doing something that gets the heart rate up, maybe get a little bit of a sweat on, and even cold showers can be considered like maybe a daily exercise to really challenge yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and get that nice little get that dopamine elevated and those good feelings going with a little cold shower. Sunlight, again, is super important, especially at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day. There's something about that light, at first light or end light, or last light, I guess you could say, that's really important for the mind and the body and the eyes. Positive self-talk. So what are you telling yourself on a regular basis that's keeping you out of the doldrums of the negativity bias and into the positivity and the creativity and the connectivity and the curiosity and the confidence and the courage and the compassion. That's all part of our entire being. I would also connect with healthy social circles. So, I would not hang around with complainers. I would not hang around with a bunch of people that are waiting for life to happen to them instead of, going after life and creating the life that they want. So you might have to cut out some friends for some time in order to overcome some of the obstacles that might be inside of you by hanging out with those types of people. Because we just are social beings, and we're also kind of very energetic beings. So you're around that negative energy, that is definitely going to have an effect on you. So watch, healthy social circles are very important. Being in nature, get out in nature, get those feet in the grass, do some grounding exercises if you like outside, maybe lie down in the grass, get out in nature, take a hike once a week, whatever you need to do in order to be in nature is really important. I live in New York City. I don't have a lot of, there's lots of beautiful trees and stuff like that and some flowers, but to really get into a quiet space, an open space, a space that has a low magnetic frequency, like being in nature, going to the ocean, going to a lake, sitting on top of a mountain is very helpful. Also, self-reflection, from a mental standpoint, but also to recalibrate kind of standpoint. How am I feeling? What worked? What didn't work? This is going to help you stay in that positive flow and help you to stack the next win. And also, I would also say meditation. I mean, it's vitally important to anything that you really want to achieve that's going to be really challenging. Meditation. We have several meditations on our platform that you can listen to anytime, listen to them 1,000 times, because there's going to be something in there every single time you come back. And there's also part of that is just calming down, slowing down, and getting to the self. So I'll cut out your alcohol. Like, I would eliminate alcohol completely if you can, or maybe only drink, once a week or maybe every once a month or something like that. Taking intermittent breaks, throughout the day, or definitely maybe taking a day. I'm going to talk about days off in a second. But that's great. That's number 3. Number 4, right, of this formula, the flywheel and creating the flywheel effect and stacking wins, is creating your own personal formula, creating your own personal flywheel. So you need to identify the components of what that is, such as what are the habits that you need to continually do, write them down. What are the skills that are required to do that and work on those skills and get better at those skills, because they're going to continually serve you as you move. What are the relationships that are going to keep this momentum going and keep the positivity and keep stacking those incremental wins. Focus on building these components to create a self-sustained cycle of growth, a self-sustained cycle of flow. So what practices and techniques do you need to exercise daily to keep your flywheel moving? So again, my routine, this is the first time I guess I'm saying this, right? So my routine, I'm up early. I'm up at 4:30 in the morning. So that means I need to go to bed late, or not late, but early. So 10 o'clock is late for me to go to bed because I really want to hit that 7 hours of sleep because of all the wonderful things that sleep does for me. I time block my schedule the night before, like I mentioned. I get up in the morning first thing, and with my coffee, I like making some coffee in the morning. I journal and do some self-reflection. I do in my 5-minute journal. It's just like, what am I grateful for? What's going to make today great? And then my own little personal mantra for the day, which is helpful. And then I'll do a little exercise, get the blood flowing. So recently, over the last several months, I've been doing like 25 squats, 50 push-ups, and just body movement. Some keep myself limber, keep the blood moving through my body, and just kind of wake things up. And even after that, I'll take, after I do this little physical movement, I take a cold shower for like a minute or two, as cold as I can possibly make it, depending on the time of year. And then I sit and I meditate for at least 20 minutes. And part of that meditation is doing breath work for at least 3 or 4 minutes. That's part of that meditation. And we have some also breathing practices that you can learn from our podcast feed as well. Or reach out to us and we'll send them over. And then, also what I do is I take time every week to do nothing. Saturday is a day that I'm like, I do the best I can not to work at all. Maybe I'll read a book. Maybe I'll read a book of an upcoming author that's coming onto the show because I kind of enjoy it. I mean, I enjoy reading. I enjoy geeking out, but I try to do as little as possible. So that's a great opportunity on Saturdays for me, and I don't know what day that is for you that you can do this, but I do suggest finding a day to do this. Is give yourself, sometimes I accumulate sleep debt getting up so early, and I might go to bed a little bit suboptimally. So I might accumulate a sleep debt throughout the week of a few hours. So I really just try on Saturday to sleep as much as I can with no alarm. I don't have any kids yet, so that's a little easier for me. And maybe that's not possible for you, or maybe you make some kind of deal with your spouse just to kind of get a couple extra hours of sleep and get that rest your mind and your body needs. Also, like, if you want to get better at doing anything, then you must get better at doing nothing as well. Because we're in this oppositional relationship to all things. So we're always doing, going, flying, wheel, stacking. It's just like, what if you just stop and don't do anything for a while and just kind of step away? Here's actually, what'll help with that? So this is Leonardo da Vinci quote. I love this quote. And it's a great reminder from one of the most prolific, creative people in human history. This is what Leonardo da Vinci has to say. He says, every now and then, go away. Have a little relaxation. For when you come back to your work, your judgment will be sure. Go some distance away because the work appears smaller and more of it can be taken in at a glance. And a lack of harmony and proportion will more readily be seen. That's Leonardo da Vinci. He also, I know with this quote also, part of this quote I've read, maybe there's a couple of different quotes like this, but he also says going away and you come back with like a new set of lenses so you can look at whatever the work you're doing with more clarity as well. So, awesome. And then the very last, point number 5 here is reflecting and adjusting. So regularly, maybe it's every week, maybe it's every 2 weeks, maybe, if you have that coach that's helping you, make sure, and I'm sure if they're a really good coach, then they're doing this with you, reflect on your progress, but also reflect on your setbacks, adjust the strategies if you need to. Again, this helps by taking time away, by also readjusting and looking objectively, not beating yourself up because, say you wanted to do, for the week, you want to do 10 things, you only got to 3. Well, there's a reason you only got to 3. And there's a reason you missed those other 7. And that's a great time to learn, right? Be the learn-it-all in this journey. Everything you want to do, be the learn-it-all. You're going to actually live more life, experience new things, be open to new opportunities, to new ways of doing things, new ways of thinking by being a learn-it-all instead of a know-it-all. So this can be a great time to help you readjust even your thinking around what it means to be great, what it means to continually be more successful. So what does that look like for you? Like, I'm a big journaler. So maybe you sit down and write, maybe you do talk this out with somebody. But I think what I really like about journaling is it creates a natural objective perspective because you're writing down, you can go back and read it. Could be something like what's worked, what didn't work, how did I feel, how would I do things differently, what's maybe a smaller step I could take because maybe you're just taking too big of a step. So again, it's incremental. what does that word mean? It's small little chunks, one little step at a time. Maybe that, it's like baby step, baby step, baby step, baby step. And then all of a sudden, like you start walking a little better, you start jogging, you start running, and all of a sudden it's like, boom, like you can really be unstoppable, because through that process of patiently taking those baby steps, but also taking the patience to step back and gain more perspective, right? You begin to develop more of that mental resilience and mental discipline. You begin to understand the feelings that come along with success, but also the feelings that come along with you falling short of success, aka some might call it failure. I just call it a setback. Or like I said earlier, I just call it, these are my results. And how do you analyze those results so you're more sure-footed the next time you take that step? I think a couple things here I have that are also helpful is like, watch out for toxic positivity, always trying to, create a positive approach to anything you're absolutely doing, and not really getting into, and, don't ignore what the results are. Don't ignore how you're feeling. Don't ignore maybe the physical signal that's coming up or that wants to be heard through your body or somewhere in your mind, that maybe I need to make an adjustment here. So instead of just being like, everything's great, I'm awesome, I'm killing it, I'm going to achieve that. It's like, don't fall into that toxic positivity. Watch the self-esteem trap as well. So, if you're pushing others down to lift yourself up, then nobody is benefiting at all. And that'll all come crashing down eventually, because you're making a house on sand instead of creating a deep physical and mental and emotional foundation on the inside to really live and feel and access and stand on a very strong foundation of resilience, of mental discipline, of eventually your greatness that's unshakable. We don't rise to the occasion. We sink to the level of our training. And by accessing the flywheel effect, we're always in a state of training. We're training again and again and again and again, refining, training, taking a step back, refining, training, keep going. And, part of the self-esteem is avoid comparison. That could really be a son of a bitch to anything that you want to start, especially early on. Because, you look at somebody else doing the same thing, and, for example, like, we have a podcast. It's a popular podcast. It's growing. It's successful. But now we want to, we're continually trying to attain more success. But if I start comparing my podcast, to another podcast, like whatever, Rich Roll or Tim Ferriss or, Joe Rogan, who have been in the game longer than we have, much longer, then I'm just gonna, why am I not in the top 0.01% of, global podcasts? Why am I not, doing this or doing that? Why don't we have all this? It's like, then it puts you in, it helps to activate that negativity bias. That negativity bias puts you in a bad mood, right? And you're going to have a much more difficult time to show up the next time. You need to, start working for that next little step forward. So awesome, everybody. I think I did a pretty thorough job covering this. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let us know. Maybe this is something you can go back and listen to, a few more times just to understand this whole methodology, and also to inspire you and motivate you to keep showing up. If you do need accountability coach, I work with a lot of different people, mostly men, but, hey, ladies out there, I'd love to work with you as well, or anybody, because sometimes it's nice to have that assistance. And, men get trapped in a lone wolf, and I can do it all alone. But what if you didn't? What if you didn't? And what if you joined your energy with somebody else and then experience that bond, and then how that bond can help you get to the next win? Thank you, everybody. Have an incredible day. We really appreciate you being here, listening, and helping us grow this community of Men Talking Mindfulness, and really help us to bring more health, more happiness, and more harmony to the lives of everyone that listens. And so maybe share this. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate you being here. And John does too. And again, if you want to access more and tap into more Men Talking Mindfulness, text to 3377. Just text MTM or head to mentalkingmindfulness.com. Thanks, everybody. Much love. Peace.